I am removing Ragda and Jay from the stream. And myself, wait, sorry, one more thing, just need to take the display names off. Removing myself in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eddie Busaidi. I am a part of Cisco. I'm an IoT sales for Middle East Africa. It is a pleasure to join you today for the 5G for Westcom Comstore 5G and IoT Summit. Today, I'll be talking about transportation and how 5G and IoT is in this vertical and how you can expand and think about things from a system integrator standpoint. So first, let me talk to you about a little bit about some transportation trends that's happening. There's 1.35 million people dying every year on our roads. Cities and governments are trying to reduce this number throughout the whole world. And as you see in our region, one of the major things that's been happening here is you've seen a lot of speed cameras come into fruition around the roadways. And you're going to see more and more things being developed around trying to reduce these numbers. The other thing is that there's many different IoT devices that are being connected in cars and in the transportation sector. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we proceed in the presentation. But more importantly, 25% of the major cities will have to change their infrastructure from a transportation system when autonomous vehicles come into play. This connected automated vehicle infrastructure and using 5G for connected vehicle to everything as an infrastructure and a communication. You also have DSRC, which is a dedicated short-range communication. And this is where it's a type of technology where vehicles to vehicles will be communicating to each other and how they communicate. And this is all around self-driving vehicles, autonomous vehicles. Some other trends that you're seeing transforming the industry, this whole buzz around digitization and how that affects transportation, how that affects airports, how does that affect airlines, how does that affect cars, taxi systems, logistics, shipping. There's this whole roll around digitization. And the key component is all around data. How do you get all this information and make intelligence? You're going to see a lot of different infrastructure being placed around intelligent transportation systems. Another thing is the shift in the international trading. As you've seen here, China's taken over from a trade perspective. You have all the shipping lanes. You're seeing now Jebel Ali. We'll probably see some things happening in Egypt and Saudi Arabia. So how does that all change, right? And then the key component, what everyone's looking at, is around climate change and environment. How does transportation affects the climate change? This whole thing around telecommuting, COVID has changed the way we're going to be working as we go forward. Now what they're saying is most meetings will be a hybrid meeting, which means that somebody will be telecommuting or being virtual in a meeting. And then this whole software-driven changes. We've already seen it. Everybody knows Uber, but there's going to be many, many more. I mean, what they're saying in the future that there's potentially that people want own cars. What they'll do is just use a software to book a car in a location, and then that car will take them, because it's self-driving, take them wherever they need to be. And as I mentioned earlier, safety conditions. I mean, safety is always a key concern of infrastructure investment and how we make better safety considerations for the citizens within these communities. GPS. Today GPS is very simple, but the next generation GPS and what the information comes from that GPS and making it intelligent. So if you have a GPS in a car and how that communicates back to the infrastructure of transportation system. And last but not least is what's driving the main thing is this whole autonomous vehicles, right? Self-driving vehicles and where that comes into play. And I'm going to talk a little bit more around that. That's going to drive different social behaviors within our communities. More people will live in rural areas. But more importantly, it's just going to change the whole infrastructure around the transportation industry. So why Cisco? We've been the market leader in this space. We are doing different things. We have a lot of different things in this space, and I'm going to share a couple of different use cases. From a technology standpoint, we're innovating. What we're doing is making our technology more modular. Before, what we did before is if you had 8-port switch and you're adding different ports, what we'd have to do is you would have to take out that box and put in a new box. Now we're saying just add an expansion module. We have validated designs in the transportation. We have it also in the cities. When you talk about transportation, it's not only just think of the vertical transportation, but how it applies to a city. We've been recognized from an industry standpoint. We've won some awards. But more importantly, the key component of all this is our ecosystem of partners that work with us to develop solutions for this industry and this vertical. And last but not least, we're innovating. There's these solutions called IOX, where we're putting Docker containers that allows system integrators like yourselves to be able to develop apps that will pull data and make decisions for those customers on that box. Of course, security is key. I mean, the biggest hindering from digitization in this space is around security. And then this thing that we call industrial network director, which is our network management software that allows you to ease of use of deploying these solutions. So some of the use cases here where we play, and we have validated designs, and we played heavily in is roadside infrastructure. As I mentioned earlier, around autonomous vehicles, right? How that infrastructure how that infrastructure on the roads will communicate with cars and with the signal, with the lights and traffic and so forth is going to be very different in the future. From a rail transportation, it's all around safety and compliance and passenger experience and operational efficiency. We have solutions around that. And of course, in the aviation and airports. Today, I'm not going to talk too much about the aviation and airports because the real opportunity in the transportation, at least in the Middle East area, is around the roadways and transit areas, more so than the airports. We're fortunate enough that our airports in our region are new, so they have invested. But there are some things there where they're doing. You know, for example, in Dubai, where they're thinking about that you shouldn't even go through customs with facial recognition and the passport information. Why should you have to go to customs? We should be able to just do some facial recognition, just go right through. So there's a lot of innovation that's happening in our region. You're going to see that more in the airports. This is the only slide I have that has some products. And the only reason I'm putting this there because I want you to think of an infrastructure from an architecture standpoint and how this is how you have to think about from the transportation. There's the street layer of infrastructure that will then do some backhaul and distribution that goes up to a centralized infrastructure and then goes to the application layer where you make decisions in control centers. So we have solutions from hardware and software across all this infrastructure. Some use cases. The number one use case that we see in this vertical is around video surveillance in our region. Pretty much almost all the Middle East countries in the region have Cisco as part of their video surveillance. Now, we don't sell the cameras. You would buy that from a third party. We do have Meraki cameras for cloud-based, but in our region, cloud is not something that people want yet. It is coming when we're seeing it prevalent. But the infrastructure that powers up those cameras from a PoE standpoint is Cisco. And it's all around how to get information back to the Ministry of Interior and how to make decisions for people that are managing roads or for people doing surveillance or security. The next thing is around traffic signals, right? Making those intelligent. Today, they're on timers. In the future, they won't be. In the future, will be how the traffic patterns are happening in a city or in a country and how that will change the signaling within the traffic. And that infrastructure that you see like on the left-hand side in that white box, inside there has Cisco equipment. Traffic signaling priority. So for first responders around firefighting, right? Being able to say if a fire truck is coming down the street because there's an emergency, how do you change the traffic? And then we have equipment around that and how to help you solve that from a customer standpoint. Dynamic messaging. We're seeing that prevalent in some of the countries in the Middle East, but there are other countries that need a lot of help around this. You know, today, how do we do this today as a citizen, if you think about it, right? If we're starting to see a traffic pattern on a road, what do? We go to our phones and we open up Google Maps and we see and look and see, okay, we see some traffic up front. What if the road was intelligent enough to know there's an incident that's happened up in front and the messaging will say, hey, there's an accident up front automatically, and it's diverting. Say, if you're going a route to downtown Dubai coming from the JBR, right, there's another direction that you should go that will get you there faster. And our equipment is allowing you to be able to have this ability in our road systems. Another one is the weather. People don't realize that we have fog in one of our countries, right? And it's actually a couple of countries, also in Morocco as well, and Egypt. And so now what we're doing is we have systems and sensors on the roadways that will be able to look at the weather system and then go back to the digital signage and give you information around that. Electronic toll stations. We're seeing this more prevalent, more so in Africa. So Egypt is starting to have more electronic toll stations. Morocco is starting to have it. Dubai already has it. Abu Dhabi recently introduced it. Oman and other countries, Qatar still hasn't, but you're going to start seeing a lot more around toll stations just because of the way these governments and cities want people to travel around their city. And so in these toll stations, you'll have Cisco equipment that powers up the CCTV cameras, the RFID, the video surveillance, the tolling, the messaging. There's so many different use cases that you find in the toll stations. One thing that people haven't seen yet, but will be coming, is like gas stations, right? Electrical vehicles. You're going to have these electrical charge stations. These are going to be connected, and they need to be connected. I mean, there's even thoughts around that the ground, the actual asphalt, will have charging stations as we get more prevalent with electric cars. Electric cars are still not there yet. You know, the price point that they need to be is around $36,000 before it becomes full scale, and that's we've already gotten there with Telsa. But more importantly, the next part is around the charging stations and how quickly you charge the vehicles. They say that the vehicles need to be fully charged within 30 minutes. So you're going to need to have these fast charging stations around the city, and that's the next component that's going to come in place within these cities. And these are all connected, and we've shown proof that's connected by Cisco equipment in the background. When it comes to the connected rail and mass transit capabilities, there's so many things that we're doing there, from passenger Wi-Fi, voice communication. The communication of the train system is on Cisco backbone. What we've also done is we recently purchased a company called Fluid Mesh, which is now considered, we now call it ultra reliable wireless backhaul. And this gives passengers Wi-Fi, consistent Wi-Fi in rural areas across the whole length of the train, 200, 300, 400 kilometers. And we're seeing that. So think of in rural areas where Wi-Fi is limited, we have solutions that will provide you the ability to have consistent Wi-Fi throughout the whole experience of the mass rail or mass transit. And the last but not least, the last use case that I'm going to talk about is a little bit around ports and terminals. This has been the place where it's most automated so far. And we have solutions around there that's giving you real-time information, and it's giving you autonomous self-driving information that's allowing things to be autonomous. And the ports have been very good to us in the sense that they're the ones that have been adopting our technology more than anybody else from an automation standpoint. If you look at Dubai World, if you look at the airport there, Dubai World Central, why was that airport created? It's the largest airport, but it's more around logistics. It's more around transportation. It's taking cargo from the ships at Jebel Ali Airport and moving it to a plane and being as efficient as possible and making that autonomous. And that's where they're heading in Dubai. And we're going to see that in Jeddah. We're going to see that in Egypt. We're going to see that in many other places as well, as everyone is trying to digitize their process and become operational efficiency. So why Cisco? What do we do best? As you know, as a company, we connect things. We've been doing that for years. What we're able to do as well is once you connect things, you do some what we call edge compute or data extraction. So what you can do is if there's information, you have 100 data points, and you only need 10 data points in the application layer. We keep 90 data points at edge and send those 10 data points up to the cloud. And then last but not least is our ease of management, the tools that we're using to deploy all these solutions. And all of it is always being considered with security. That is the key component. Security. I cannot stress that enough. All these use cases that I just talked about, security will always be the first thing that the customer will think about. And that's where Cisco is innovating from a security standpoint. I want to thank you for your time today. I hope this has been beneficial. And thank you very much for attending. There'll be a short quiz after this session. Thank you. Okay.
Great stuff, Eddie. That was fantastic.
All right.
Yeah,
Did I do
great.
it okay? My first time doing this kind of thing.
All was okay. Thank you so much, Eddie. Really, that was insightful. So, Sabrina, what do you think to have a teaser video to Eddie?
Let's go ahead and quickly do that 1 minute teaser. So Eddie,
we need to double check. Did he mention the quiz part at the end?
Yes, I did.
He did.
Yeah, okay. Just to make sure. Okay, fine. So great. So we will be having a teaser video, Eddie, just, to let you know that we will put this video on our social media platform. I can as well send you a script. So again, I think Jay already sent it, but let me post it again right now so you can look at it. Feel free to change, just the main point. You can take it into consideration.
Okay, much more.
And Eddie, just one more point before you proceed with the teaser. I just wanted to ask for 5 questions for the quiz about your topic, so you can just send it via email.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, with multiple choices.
Yeah,
So
one thing, I'm gonna send you a presentation on actual like 5G and IoT is quite an interesting scenario. Okay, there are many, everyone thinks 5G, 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 but there's many different types of solutions that people will deploy. So I have a presentation, Jay, I'll send it to you, that talks about 5G is one of the solutions, but there's also wireless infrastructure. There'll be LTE and there'll be other different types of wireless solutions in IoT that customers. And so customers, depending on the use case, will deploy 5G as one, but many other things as well. I'll send it to
okay,
you. If you want something on it,
cool.
let me know.
No,
Okay?
no problem, no problem. But we will need the quiz about what you have
Yeah,
mentioned on the.
I'll send you
Yeah,
5 questions. I'll send you
cool,
five
cool.
questions.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you so much. That's all for
Do
me.
you want to know about so do you want to know about more about
Eddie, you don't have to go word for word. If you would
yeah.
like to free flow it too, you're also more than welcome. Just basically mentioning your name, your designation, your topic, welcoming them to the summit. You could even mention that they can register now.
Comes to 5G IoT. Okay. So you want me to do a quick teaser?
Yes.
Okay. What do you want me
Okay.
to do?
Sorry.
Okay, so you're just gonna record? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, so this stream is recording currently. So I'm going to remove Ragda and Jay. Same thing, I'll give you a countdown, then you can do your own countdown of 3 seconds after mine, and then begin. So in 3, 2, 1.
I'm Eddie Busadi with Cisco as part of the IoT Sales Middle East region. Do you want to know more about Cisco in the transportation vertical? Join me in the upcoming Westcon Comster 5G and IoT Summit, where we'll just explore more. Looking forward to seeing you.
Okay, let's do one more take.
Okay.
Maybe just also do a greeting, hello, and then
Okay.
that was perfect though. It was just a bit of a stumble at the end on the explore
Yeah.
more. So
No problem. All right.
let's do one more
No
take. I'm sure we'll get this
problem.
done. In 3, 2.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eddie Busadi with Cisco Systems, part of our IoT Middle East sales region. Do you want to know more about Cisco in the transportation vertical? Join me in the upcoming Westcom Comstore IoT and 5G Summit, where we can explore this together further. Looking forward to seeing you.
Awesome. That was perfect. Raka, Jay, are you guys happy with that last take?
Yeah, the second one is much better.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it was good. So I want to thank you so much, Eddie, for your time to record